All right, we're live.
Good afternoon. This is Lisa Girardi with the Chicago Dental Society. First of all, I want to thank you all for taking time to be here today on this webinar. These are unusual times for us all. And as you know, the Midwinter meeting has pivoted to a only virtual format for the 2021 year. Just one fun fact. 1945 was the only year in which the Midwinter meeting was not held. But that will not be true for 2021. The 2021 meeting will be a live event, even though only virtual. We will still run over our same February 25 through 27 dates, but we will be expanding the length of time in which an attendee and an exhibitor can view the platform for 1 week only, up through March 6th. As a valued partner in the CDS family, we want you to know that your concerns are our concerns. We know you still have goals and need to get in front of your customers and remain front and center in the minds of the dental community. And we want you to know that we here at the Chicago Dental Society, we're all here to help you. So to navigate through the trying times, Jefferson has put together this presentation, which hopefully will answer and address some of the concerns about exhibiting in a virtual platform and how to make it meaningful not only to the attendees, but to you and your staff. So with no further delay, please join me in welcoming Jefferson Davis.
All right. Thank you, Lisa. And again, thanks for caring enough about your exhibitors to really go the extra mile to try to help them understand this new frontier that we're all entering into, and not just pulling them in it without support, guidance, and the types of training that they're going to need to be able to make it work out. So everybody virtually give Lisa and the entire CDS team a big round of applause, seriously, because there's a lot of shows that are not doing this. Believe me, I've seen them. So today's session really, look, I understand that all of you, right, this has been a really difficult time for us all, right? Dental practices, my dentist practice was closed down for 4 months, right, completely shut down. And I'm sure that has had impact on each one of your businesses. And I'm sure you, like me, like CDS and everybody, has got to really take a very sharp look at any form of spend that you make right now and make sure that it is safe and it's smart and it's prudent. And so this virtual exhibiting, it's different. And, you know, there's concerns. You know, exhibitors are wondering, right, can I actually make this work, right? Is it worth me stepping into this frontier? So I want to share really some information I think that may surprise you. Some of it will reinforce what you already know. Some of it may open your eyes to why I think continuing, staying visible and being part of this community is a really good play for everybody involved. Now, we got to do our part, right? We got to grow, we got to change, we got to learn. But I do believe that virtual exhibiting in this time of crisis can still deliver significant value for every exhibitor, regardless of whether you sell a product or a service. So most of you have seen me around, been around the last few years on and off with CDS over 25 years. Been so excited to be on the show floor with all of you, you know, doing the exhibiting effectiveness evaluations, you know, looking at your booths in action and, you know, reinforcing what you're doing well and trying to point you, you know, how to do it even better. And the feedback we've gotten from all of you has been really humbling and mind-blowing. So we're in this new arena now. So, right, so we got to, you know, we got to work together and make sure that we have the perspectives and the skills and the ideas and the strategies to make it work. For me, right, on Friday, March 13th, geez, are we already talking like 7 months? Almost 7 months, hard to believe. You know, the walls started falling. My live events started following that day, and I had over 45 live shows contracted and booked. And through December, every one of them canceled. So I've always believed that every adversity carries with it the seed of an equivalent or a greater benefit. And I knew that until this pandemic subsides, that we all were going to be kind of forced into the virtual world. So what I did immediately back in March, late March, after I got over the shock and the trauma, right, was I immediately started looking at what are the virtual event platforms, what are the exhibitor-facing functionalities, and started compiling these. And I got together with my team of trade show experts, and continually, we're still doing it on a weekly basis. How do we optimize and how do we drive traffic, and how do we effectively interact in the virtual space so we can continue to build our brand, keep our brand visible, service our customers, generate leads, and ultimately drive sales. I would like to start, before we get into my content here, I just want to do a quick poll, because I know there's a lot of concern out there. This is a multiple choice, meaning you can answer more than one. Take a look on the screen right now, and let me know what you feel your top concerns are with regard to a virtual exhibit. This will not only help me in today's session make sure that we're hitting the high notes, but we're going to do 2 more sessions. And your feedback today is going to help me build, hopefully, the perfect mousetrap that gives you the confidence, the knowledge, and the skills to come into this arena and get what you want and need. So go ahead, fastest fingers, pick the radio dial button that applies. I'll stand by for a few moments and let you finish. And by the way, we got an incredible turnout on today's session. And congratulations, Lisa, you were right on the login rate. Okay, let's see, the votes are in. 65% of you have polled. If you haven't polled, fastest fingers, look up, turn off your email, stay with me. We're going to wrap this thing up before 2:30, only 20 minutes. I really want your feedback on this. We're at about 76% of you have polled. Those of you who have not, I'll give you just another moment. And by the way, if you check other, right, go to your question box and type in what that concern is. So I'll give you just a moment. We're at 80%. I think that is representative sampling. On 3, 2, 1, let me share the results. So 42% of you are really just in the space. I don't really know where to begin here, right? I don't know, how do I even create a virtual exhibit? That's a good question. The cool thing is the virtual platforms are pretty easy. They're not as complex as you might look or think they are. I've already personally worked with clients on 6 different platforms, and I'm coming to realize that the functionality is somewhat common, even though the language is different. 78% of you, your number one concern is, will I get enough traffic to my virtual exhibit? And that is an important concern. And so we're going to address, CDS is going to do everything they can do to promote to the dental community, to get them to the virtual event, and ultimately to get them into the virtual exhibit hall. But it's very similar like the CDS Midwinter meeting live, right? Once they enter the hall, now the onus is on you, right? So you've got to make sure that you promote it properly, which we're going to talk a lot about over the 3-part series of how to promote, who to promote to, what sort of messaging. Demonstrating your product services. 48% of you were feeling like, wow, we've got this physical product, and how do we show, tell, and create that immersion that we would get in a live event? 48% of you are concerned about your staff. Man, my staff, we've never done this, right? How do we sit on a computer, and how do we effectively interact with visitors? So thanks for sharing your results. I'm going to keep that data as I not only weave my way through today's session, but over our next 2 sessions, which I'll tell you about at the end. So thanks for sharing. Let me close the poll, and let's get rocking here. So begin at the beginning, right? The why precedes the how, right? So why should you, or for that matter, anybody in their right state of mind, right, want a virtual booth? Well, I can think of a lot of reasons. Number one, you still got a business to run, You've got customers to serve. You got marketing goals that you're trying to achieve. You have sales goals that you're trying to achieve. That hasn't changed, right? The pandemic, maybe you've altered them, maybe you've reduced them, right? But you still got to do it, The world didn't, well, it felt like it stopped, but we got to keep going. And here's another thought, this really came upon me yesterday, because last week I went to my dentist's office for cleaning, a perio, right? And I couldn't even walk in the door, right? I had an appointment. I had to text them when I got there. I had to sit in the car, right? And then when it was my turn, they text me. I went up. They unlocked the door. I had to walk in. There was a table instead of the waiting room. I had to put hand sanitizer on. I had to put a mask on. They took my temperature, and then they escorted me back to the operatory. And when I got into the operatory, they took my temperature again. So here's the thing, right? If you're thinking right now that, well, I don't really need to do the show because, I can just be out in the field, I don't know about that. I think it's going to be very difficult to get into. In fact, I don't think you can in most states. You cannot walk into a dental practice right now, without an appointment. And my dentist, right, was closed for 4 months. And, I know him personally, and he told me the amount of revenue that he lost. He said he ain't got time, right? Right now, he's got to serve patients. He's got to recover revenue. So this is another reason for everybody in the dental industry to understand this may be your only opportunity to really stay visible, and you can still have interaction beyond what you think, because the channels that we've relied on, emails, for example, a lot of you say, well, I'll just do email campaigns, right? Well, the average business person today is getting 177 emails with the junk filters and the spam filters continually adapting. I don't think that any of these are really solid pillars for the next. Now, I'm not saying he can't be part of it, right? But the thing I think that we all got to accept in our industry is that the channels that we've leaned on outside of shows before aren't quite as strong right now, and they're probably not going to be for the next several months, sadly, unfortunately, right? And this number 3, this one gets me excited, and this should get you excited. Your customers have new problems. They got new challenges, right, that the pandemic has put on them, and they're going to be looking directly out to you, right, the dental supply community, to help them address these challenges, right? Now, like I said, they may not have the doors swinging wide open you walk through, but hey, the virtual world's going to give you the ability, right, to be present and have that interaction. And this is what I really like, as evidenced by today's webinar and all the webinars I'm doing right now. People's minds are wide open. We have all been knocked completely off center, right? And so our receptivity, right, to new, safer, cleaner, faster, cheaper, more efficient, right? Everybody's trying to find their way back to center, and their minds are wide open. And what a great opportunity for you and me, for all of us, to understand their consumption of content is higher. So they're paying attention more, right? Their minds are wide open, right? And finally, a virtual booth will help you, number one, stay visible. Write this phrase down. I want you to write this in your workbook or on your notepad right now, because it's a very important statement. I learned this years ago in business. Out of sight really is out of mind. If you say, I'm going to sit on the shelf and I'm not going to really do anything, and I'll probably get back in Midwinter meeting 2022, then you're basically, for the most part, going to become invisible. And because your customers have new needs, new challenges, new problems, your competitors are going to be knocking at the door harder than ever before, right? Not physically, but virtually, right? So stay visible, right? Don't disappear. It's one of the biggest mistakes you could make in business today, right? That virtual booth will help you with your visibility. It'll help you to continually to interact with your customers, and it will help you generate leads and ultimately sales. And we're going to talk about sales a little more here as we get into this. Okay, so number 2, some advantages. I step back and, and hey, I'm going to hit both sides of the valve too. I'm not just going to come here like Pollyanna and, everything's perfect. But as I showed you, there are 5 big reasons why a virtual exhibit can be a play. I want to drill into some specific advantages that you may or may not have thought of. Number 1 is you don't have to travel. They don't have to travel. What does that mean? We save a lot of time. There's also money savings, right? We don't have to spend money on air, hotel, ground transportation, meals, travel, and entertainment. For you, the virtual exhibitor, the cost to execute your virtual exhibit is significantly less than a live, right? You're not going to have all those transportation. You're not going to have freight. You're not going to have exhibit graphic design unless you're doing something fancy with your virtual. You're not going to have drayage. You're not going to have show services. You're not going to have installation and dismantle. Essentially, it's going to free up a lot of money. And because your investment in your virtual is so much less, guess what else is easier? It's a whole lot easier to get a return on your investment. It's a lot easier. You actually don't need as much as you would have at a live. So that cost saving and that ability to get to your return on investment faster. Number 3, here's one I'm excited about, right? No matter how hard CDS promotes, they only get a certain percentage of the dental community. Now, with everybody, right, logged on, online, on their phones, on their computers, hey, anybody can attend this thing. And they can attend multiple times throughout the event, not only during the live time, but for the week afterwards. So you potentially have access to an even larger audience. And number 4 is the length of the meeting, right? Before, we go to Chicago and it's open 3 days, and when the doors close, the event's over, right? But not true now. Now it's got a longer time frame. So you have the ability, your virtual exhibit will essentially be open still all the way through March 6th. And that's going to give you some super cool marketing opportunities to be able to drive people there after the live event is over. So you got a longer exposure. Next, this is an interesting thing about the virtual if you do it right. When people come to the live meeting, the dentists and the hygienists and the assistants, right, and the office practice managers, sometimes the interactions are pretty spontaneous, right? They happen to walk into the convention center lobby. They go into a meeting room. They go into the exhibit hall. They move up and down the aisle. And they see your booth. They go, oh, that's cool. Let me stop and take a peek. It is a little bit more spontaneous. In the virtual world, we can be much more intentional, right, in terms of, acquiring a pre-reg list, drilled down by demographics, the ability to reach out and touch them and give them a compelling reason, right, to come, to learn, to interact, and to source. So we can be even more intentional in the virtual space. And number 6, here's what I love. All of you for years have been clamoring for data, for analytics, for metrics. How do you know, right, how well you executed your booth? How do you know how many people attended? How do you know how many passed, how many stopped, how long they spent in your booth, which of your interactions they touched or they did? The beauty of the virtual world, there's a digital footprint, right? So you'll have access to probably more visitor data than maybe you've ever had before, right? And I think, for those of you who really understand that data is power, right, that is a really strong benefit that you can't even get in the live world, right? Next, it still addresses the 3 big reasons why people attend live events. Here are the 3. They come to learn. They will be coming to the Midwinter virtual meeting to learn. They'll be attending educational sessions, technical sessions, scientific sessions. The learning continues in the exhibit hall and continues in your booth. They come to network. They want to rub elbows, right, with their colleagues, with the key opinion leaders, with the Dr. Famouses, right? They can still do it virtually. And number 3, they come to source. Now, here's a big thing that I want to say to everybody on this webinar. This is probably where you're going to need a little shift, okay? You had a physical product, an instrument, a chair, intraoral camera, whatever you might sell, right? And maybe over the last several years, you've really leaned heavily on, them walking into the booth and maybe making an impulse purchase. That can still happen in the virtual space. And I think if you design your demos well by using video and other techniques, you can still show the features, benefits, and the unique advantages of your products. They just don't get to touch it. So those products where touch is going to be critically important in the purchase decision, you have to shift your perspective to understand that it might not be about the quick sale. They stumble into your virtual booth and they hey, send me an order. And yeah, for some of you, depending on the complexity of the purchase and how important the touch is, maybe you still. My big message here is you're going to have to shift to thinking beyond the 3 days and the low-hanging fruit, and you're going to have to realize that leads are going to be more important. They come, they interact with you, there's a good meeting, and you follow up and you convert. Now, again, some of you, depending on how you structure this, can probably still get sales. They're not going to buy a complex thing. Actually, they're not going to buy complex things at the show either, right? But here's the big idea, right? If you've hung your hat on the only reason we attend the Midwinter meeting is the number of orders we write in the booth, I think you can still get orders depending on product or service, but I'm telling you, expand your frame. Equally important now is building that connection, demonstrating your visibility, your commitment to the industry, getting that need with them, engaging virtually, and then following up outside the virtual arena. Because your cost will be less, every one of you can and should still be able to get a return on your investment. Now, let's swing over to the other side, okay? Because there's challenges, right? This is a different environment, right? So they're different than face-to-face. So the first thing is you, CDS, we don't have as much control over how much time they physically spend at the virtual event. When they come to downtown Chicago and they stay in a hotel and they get on the buses and they're in McCormick Place, and we kind of got them, right? We pretty much have them for the most part all day, a little more control, a little more influence. We don't have as much of that in the virtual space. They have the ability to peer in and peer out. They have the ability to do it multiple times over several days, right? But it's a little harder to control it. That's why we've got to do our job, CDS, by putting on good educational content, and you, the exhibitor, on adding to that, right? Teaching these people about how to solve problems, how to do things better, how your products or service help them achieve their goals. We all got to work together on that. And second, the distraction level is amplified. You see the image on the left. It varies by state. I'm in North Carolina, and, a lot of business people are still working from home. Now, my dental practice is open, albeit at reduced capacity, right? But people are working at home, and the distraction level, both on the computer and at home, is amplified. So that means we got to do a better job, right, in terms of how we promote, how we engage, how we identify and meet their information needs in the virtual space. Content marketing. Key phrase, content is king right now, K-I-N-G, content is king. And rich media, the ability to optimize the media parts of your virtual exhibit are more important. And again, we're not going to leave you hanging in the wind on this. Over the next 2 webinars, we're going to do a deep dive on the CDS platform, show you all of the stuff, the functionality, and guide you on how to create good content, how to promote it, and how to optimize that virtual exhibit. The first thing I would say to all of you on this webinar today is that if you are a multiple product, multiple service supplier, don't try to be everything to everybody in the virtual space, right? Key phrase, write this down. In the virtual world, less is more. So those of you with multiple products, multiple services, we need to put a hierarchy, and you've got to trim it down a little bit for the virtual world. If you got something new, lead with it. New is as hot in the virtual space as it is in the live space. New is a magnet. Second, which of your products or services right now are really speaking to addressing the new challenges, the new problems, the new frustration that your dental customers are having? Feature those, right? And for many of you, the 80-20 rule holds true. 80% of your revenue comes from 20% of your products or services. These are your pillar or your bread and butter. Feature those. See, you can cross-sell anything once you have the customer. But if you come in and try to be everything to everybody, you're going to get lost in the crowd. So there's my first real strong pro tip as you enter into the virtual world. Less is more. Don't try to bring and promote everything. Grab your showstopper, your hot thing, right? That's your lead. And then take the longer view here. You can cross-sell everything and anything once you get the engagement. All right, 4 critical success factors. How do you win this game, right? You remember in the live world, I've been teaching it for the last several years through the Exhibitor Success Center, the 5 critical. We've got 4 of them for the virtual world. Number 1, make sure that you're using the correct keywords and tags and that you're listed in the proper categories. This is a key navigation point for virtual attendees. This is how they're going to determine, right, where they're going to go. I'm looking for this, I'm looking for that, and this. Make sure you're in the right categories. Number 2, that virtual experience. You've still got to deliver, just like the live, an interactive experience that's going to be worthy of their time and attention. They're going to come to see stuff. They're going to come to learn stuff. They want to walk away with information, right? Number 3, you got to promote. I mean, I've been telling you for years you got to promote in the live. I'm telling you in the virtual space, you got to ratchet it up. And because you're spending so much less on your virtual exhibit, you should be able to find the money to ratchet up your promotion before, during, and after the event, because it's open several days afterwards. And as I said, CDS, CDS will spend every dollar. They will turn over every leaf they can find to get the dental professionals aware to the virtual event, and they'll do what they can do to get them into the hall. But you can't just rely on CDS, right? You got to do your part. Number 4, right? You got to really interact with that visitor, capture information, and just like a live show, you got to follow up. And for those of you who were looking for only low-hanging fruit, the fruit is still there. You just got to reach a little higher. It's not as low as it was in the virtual, and it might take a little longer, right? But these 4 things, if you do these 4 things right, you'll win the virtual world. So I want to give you some planning guidelines and open this up for questions, okay? It always starts with your reasons. You should ask yourself right now, why should we, right, virtually exhibit, right? And reasons, there are many, many reasons. I've identified 6, and I bet you have even more, right? Connect with your customers, generate new revenue ops, maintain your brand visibility, your presence, educate, right? Drive sales. Maybe probably the majority after, but that's fine too. I'd rather, today, tomorrow, next month, I'm in this for the long haul. I imagine you are too. Thought leadership. All of you are the subject matter experts in what you do. This is your chance to showcase that knowledge, right? Now, reasons, as I've said over the years, are never enough, right? Goals, you got to convert those to goals. And in the virtual world, the goals tweak a little bit. You're going to have, how many virtual visitors do you want at your booth? How many chats are you going to try to execute during the event? How many pre-scheduled meetings? How many leads are you going to try to get? Leads, and then ultimately conversions to sales. Social connections, getting more people on your LinkedIn group, connecting, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. Announcements, you're going to make product announcements, news type announcements, educating your customers, right? You got to set those goals. And then once you have your goals, get super clear about who your target audience is. Specialty, subspecialty, however you define your target audience. Your value proposition is going to be key, right? In terms of, why you should come to the event and why you should take a few minutes to interact with our virtual exhibit, right? Your channels, you're going to lean more on digital channels, email, social media, landing pages, the virtual event platform, the CDS website, your website. So you're going to work up your channels, which we're going to power through in future sessions. Find your content, right? What is it? What is your big promise? What is the problem? What are they going to learn by visiting your booth? And then that different functionality, from the way you write your company description to what literature you upload to how you create your sizzle video, if you will, your hook video, which we're going to talk about, taking full advantage to how you manage one-to-one chats, group chats, virtual meetings, Zoom meetings, all of that. Promote, right? Every promotion is going to have a value prop and a call to action, and getting your staff ready, right, on how do they work, how do they staff, who do you put on this, what do they do, when do they do it, how do they manage staffs, chats, meetings, all of that stuff. So we're going to take you through all of that. What I want you to, for today, is hopefully you've got a couple ideas here that you realize that the opportunity is there, it's new, it's foreign. That may create a little bit of fear, and whenever you feel fear, you really have 2 choices on how you're going to respond to fear. You can take the forget everything and run approach, which probably won't end up well, or you can take the face everything and rise, right? So this is a new challenge. It's a new opportunity. I would encourage each of you to go on, if you haven't already, and take a look at the virtual CDS virtual booths. The URL's there. Again, they're value packed. There's a lot of capabilities. All of the booths include your virtual space with branding, your company description, which I'm going to show you how to rewrite that because you got to completely do that differently. Your welcome video, which is probably the second thing. They'll read your description, they'll glance at your video, how to optimize your chat, what type of literature and materials you should upload. We'll talk about the reports, the data you get, and what to do with it. And check out all the post-event data you get. I think this might even be better than live. Everybody that clicks on your virtual booth, you're going to get name, mailing address, email, demographic data, registration data, practice type, along with subspecialty. And you'll have the ability, complimentary registration for 4 people per company. Check this out. This is new. You'll have access to all the virtual scientific sessions. And in our next training session, when we really get into the training part of this, I'm going to show you how to take full advantage and how to leverage topical educational sessions to drive traffic to your booth. So Lisa, we've run a few minutes over. I'm going to take a look in the question queue. Any thoughts or anything that you want to kind of add before I start firing away at these questions?
Sure. Just so you know, we have 2 different platforms for 2021's Midwinter meeting. The main platform will be Cadmium. That will host the scientific program, video chats and networking lounges. It'll have a corporate learning theater, and new product or show special demos will be on the Cadmium platform. The exhibitor platform is Freeman, and that will allow one-on-one video chat with all of your booth personnel with attendees, matchmaking with attendees, lead retrieval, uploading collateral and additional videos and linking to all of your social media. We selected Freeman as a more robust exhibit portal, and those of you who have committed already to being a Midwinter meeting exhibitor and those who want to apply, we will give you the dashboard login so that you can start creating your booth. And then as Jefferson goes through the next 2 webinars, you can continually modify it to make sure it's the best it can be.
There you go. Thank you.
Also,
Lisa, a couple shout outs to you. Franz. Go ahead.
Well, Franz has a question. For some reason, I'm not seeing the questions.
No, he just shout out. He said, Franz Bob says, Lisa's the best, and Jennifer Brown says, Lisa, all caps, is awesome. Just wanted to give you that, because I know you've been working so hard, so thank you. But continue on with there was some thought you were having. I apologize.
Well, no. I just wanted exhibitors to know that on the virtual platform, even though we will have the exhibit hall open from 9 to 5, that does not mean that you are locked in your exhibit booth from 9 to 5. We will have dedicated exhibit hall only hours throughout the course of the meeting so that there's not going to be any competition. The exhibit schedule for dedicated time is 9:30 to 11, 12:30 to 2, 3:30 to 5. And then in alternating 8 to 9:30, 11 to 12:30, and 2 to 3:30 is dedicated courses only. So we want you to take advantage of the course packages that we have developed and be able to experience the entire meeting as you're not only a valued partner, you are a valued attendee at Midwinter meeting. More information.
All right, thank you, Lisa. We got a bunch of questions.
But right now we do have. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of questions. Some of them are specific your way, and then the ones I feel are in my house I'll address. So let's kind of jump on those. The first question, someone says, well, the concern at an in-person event is the attendees can bring their jars of scrap to our booth and turn in their refines. They can't do that at a virtual event. They can't do it physically at the event, but they can do it as a result of the event, Monica. So you're essentially offering the same service. The difference is now, instead of them physically handing it to you over the virtual event, they would have the ability to send it. And this might be your opportunity. I don't know how many competitors you have, Monica, but this might be your opportunity to slant the playing field a little bit by, once you have that interaction, maybe prepaying or offering whatever to have them ship those scraps to you. So they can still do it. They just can't do it in the virtual platform. But keep up, Monica, they can still do it as a result of engaging with you in the platform. Lisa, this one is kind of a question. Let me see. What is the registration costs for dentists and the staff? For the dental professionals, what's the charge for them to attend?
CDS member dentists get into the meeting for free. That's one of the major benefits of being a member of the society. We have over 8,000 dentist members worldwide, and they all get into Midwinter meeting for free. We have for ADA member dentists. Go ahead. We have lowered the registration fees, and instead of 4 tiers, we now only have 2 tiers: November, December, January, February, and March, because we are allowing our attendees to register in March after the live meeting to be able to view courses and visit the exhibits. So there are 2 packages. November, December is $45, I believe. January, February, March is $65 a person. But again, we still have as part of our incentive is register for 3 attendees, get the 4th free. We started that 3 years ago, and we're continuing with that to encourage bringing the team to the meeting. And for course packages, you have the choice of purchasing them a la carte at $50 each, or taking a package of courses. I believe one is $99 and one is $119 based on the tier you register in. But you can go up to 9 live courses, but you have the capability over the week to visit all 118 classes. So you're paying one small sum, but you have the full platform to see every course you want. And don't forget that in Illinois, 2021 is a relicensure year.
That's important. So remember, she said for the 8,000 member dentists, it's free. For the rest of the dental practice, they've reduced it to 2 tiers. The pricing has been reduced, and they're having a send 3, get a 4 free. So the incentives are definitely there for the dental professionals to come. Lisa, through the virtual exhibit, will the virtual exhibitors have, when an attendee visits their virtual booth, will they have access to information like the name, the address, email, phone? Do you know at this point what specific information the exhibitor receives when someone visits their virtual booth?
When they visit the virtual booth, it's the same practice as when you're in an in-person booth. You get the name of the attendee and the demographic information, address, phone number, maybe to the practice. So if it's a hygienist, it might be to the practice that he or she works for, and the unique email address, because this year, with it being virtual, for attendees to capture their CE, they need unique emails. When an attendee goes into a booth and they accept to be captured by lead, they are giving consent, so you don't have to worry about violating any GDPR rules.
Nice. Nice. Okay. Yeah. So you are getting complete visitor detail when they visit your booth, and that's awesome. There was a follow-up question about zip code, but as long as they've given their mailing address on reg, which they have to, then zip code will be included too. Let's see. Let me see the next question here. Can we provide enough benefit for dentists to come to the event? 3 key words, Kiko. Jot these words down. Relevance. Relevance will get you noticed. Importance. Importance will get you engagement. And scarcity. Scarcity of content, scarcity of information will drive super high engagement. And, again, CDS is going to do everything they can do. As Lisa, you mentioned next year is did you say something about a recertification year, as there's going to be some additional requirement for them to come
Yes.
to the virtual event?
Yes,
okay,
now next year is relicensure in the state of Illinois, so the
next year is relicensure state of, so there'll be incentive. Now, here's the thing to every exhibitor here. Again, CDS is going to do their part to get the dentists and the practice to the virtual event and into the virtual exhibit hall, but you still got to do your part, right? And we're not going to leave you hanging on that. We're going to walk you through DIY, do-it-yourself stuff, how you can do, and then the different CDS opportunities, that people were saying. Let me see. What else do we got? Can we provide enough benefit? Shannon asked, and I think you said this, Lisa, the platform you're using is Freeman. Is that correct?
The exhibits will be through Freeman. The rest of the meeting, including new product demonstrations and corporate learning that exhibitors can do at podium time, that is through Cadmium. But should you sign up for the new product demo, we give you the user login and help navigate you through that program to upload that content.
Okay. And by the way, there will be training modules
I'm trying to give you the best of both worlds.
And so it'll be Freeman. Shannon, to answer your question, it'll be Freeman and Cadmium, but there will also be video training modules that'll walk you through both of the resources and how to use them. Let's see. Next question. What about raffles? Will they still work online? Oh yeah. Yeah, just like live, right? And in fact, and that can be a key part of your promotion as, hey, visit our virtual booth, check out our new solution, click on our form and be registered to win, or whether it's a contest or it's a giveaway. The difference is now you'll be sending in follow-up as versus physically hand them, unless your giveaway is an electronic, something that you can give them electronically. Nowadays, you can give digital gift cards and things like that. So raffles will still work. They always do, and I would encourage you, make sure you're in compliance with the CDS regulations about what you can and cannot do, but for sure. Let's see, what else? So Lisa, when an attendee visits virtually, does that mean that they click to visit the booth, and then once they do that, the exhibitor is notified and the attendee's contact information is captured?
Yes, correct. Now, once we launch the platform, we're still using the exact same registration company, so that process will still be the same. So each attendee and exhibitor will have an individual login, which will allow them access to the entire platform. When an attendee enters the booth, we are talking with Freeman about whether or not they have a doorbell or some kind of mechanism during the time that we have at least the dedicated hours for exhibits. Otherwise, with the Freeman platform, there is a group chat for attendees to write or text you that they're interested in certain information, and or the ability for you to set up a schedule for a one-on-one private video chat live with any attendee. Then through the matchmaking, they'll be able to say, hey, I'm interested in a dental chair or dentifrice, and they can reach out to your company to see if the attendee, would like to set up a schedule to meet one-on-one. So you'll have a variety of different ways to communicate. But once I get that dashboard, I'll be able to find out the exact mechanism that you're notified once an attendee's in your booth.
Yeah, and that does raise another question.
Number of people in the booth.
Okay, and that raises the next question. Where or when will exhibitors be able to see an example of what the virtual booths look like?
Right now we have the description of them, and once our lawyers sign off on the contract, then I will get permission from Freeman to use the photographs, the images of what each booth type looks like, and then I'll be able to post them online. And right now you'll be receiving an email, an e-blast through Constant Contact. Go ahead.
So something I want to share with everybody is you're way ahead of the curve with CDS in the virtual world. I have several clients who are doing virtual events in November, and we're sitting here on the first day of October, and they haven't been able to physically see their booth. So you're way ahead of the curve with CDS. It was smart of them to do this, further than wait till the last minute. And you're going to have access again to all the technical and operational training, both from Freeman and Cadmium. And then on the screen, we have the 2 webinars where I, like you, am going to go in and look at both platforms end to end. And then I'm going to basically build a hand in glove how to optimize and how to drive traffic and how to work these events. So we'll be in good shape there. Let me see what else questions. The next 2 webinars are on the screen, the dates. We have those locked in. Lisa, do attendees have access to the Cadmium platform and Freeman seamlessly, or do they need to log in separately in these 2 platforms?
No, it's going to be a single user login.
Chip, the answer is that single user login. Yeah, we're going to keep it as
once they go to
clean.
Our website. Yes. Simple as possible.
Okay, excellent.
And similar to the in-person meeting as possible.
Lisa, will the attendees, when they click on a virtual exhibitor's booth, will they be able to kind of see who the booth staffers are, and where there'll be like a little background or a little bio of who the booth staffers? Will they be able to see who the virtual booth staffers are?
Yes. Once you go into a virtual booth, not only will you have your corporate profile and your video message, it will be contact information, so it'll see who is in a booth. There'll be a scheduler per booth person, so that attendees will know who is physically in the booth and who is not. And of course, all your social media links, your corporate, your website, your corporate address, customer service numbers, etc.
That's awesome. Yeah, most of them I've looked at, people, there's like the booth staff section. It'll typically have a photograph. It'll have the title. It'll have maybe a paragraph or 2. Then it'll have the company website, the email address, the phone number, and it'll often have a click to chat or schedule a meeting. And so as soon as the platform itself is available, I'm sure with Freeman you'll be getting a demo for that. Lisa, what is, you mentioned that each virtual booth has 4 virtual staffers as part of it. What is the cost for additional staffers?
It follows the same as the auxiliary, $45 per person in November and December, and then it goes up, I believe, to $65 in January, February, and March. Again, those companies that have subdivisions or different divisions, If they chose to take more than one virtual booth to highlight each one of their divisions, they can certainly do so. Our standard booth starts at $2,000.
Excellent. Excellent. Question on so when an attendee is visiting a virtual booth, will the exhibitor know that they're visiting, and can the exhibitor initiate chat when they see that someone is in their virtual booth?
It's an open group chat, so when you as the exhibitor sees attendees come into the booth, you can certainly go ahead and say, welcome, can I help you, and initiate via group chat. If people ask you specific questions, you could always say, I'm John Smith, please go and let's go to a video chat and I can talk to you one-on-one to give you more detailed information, and we can do so privately.
Awesome. All right. So the last question was, will we be getting invites for the future training events? And yes, absolutely. We are totally going to keep you in the loop. And we're getting a lot of technical questions today, and we're going to be answering a lot of those over the coming days and weeks as we get the Cadmium and the Freeman events platforms completely locked down. And so maybe some of your technical questions, please hold those. We're going to be sure to answer all of those. We want to make sure that you understand the platform, that you're comfortable with the technology, and that you understand that this is a good fit for you. So we've run quite a bit over. We had a great turnout. I want to thank everybody who showed up here today, and those of you that are watching this on an email. And my closing thought is this. Rather than looking at this with the eyes of why shouldn't I do it, for all the reasons I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, the 5 reasons why virtual, the 7 unique advantages and benefits, look more toward the eyes why you should and how you're going to make it work. You know you've got an incredible partner with Lisa. She's not going to leave you hanging in the wind. I'm going to be in your corner through this whole journey, doing everything I can do. And I've already done about 8 different virtual shows. And so we can do this, is what I'm saying. So you're part of this tribe. You're part of this community. Step into this with us. Stay visible, right? Grow, change, learn. And who knows, March, mid-March, late March, we might all be having a virtual, raising a virtual glass somewhere, or maybe even in person, right? But I want to thank everyone for logging in today. Lisa, any closing thoughts on this? Why a virtual's smart play in a time of crisis? Any closing thoughts?
Well, just always remember that Midwinter Meeting is successful because of your participation in it. The niche of Midwinter Meeting has always been the meeting where new products and new innovations are unveiled to the dental community. And we are a premier dental meeting. It's not just a tagline. So without you, we aren't nearly half as good as we are when you're with us.
For sure. We're kind of all in this. This is really about...
And if you have any questions, you can... Partnership. And you're our partners. And we want you to rely on us as we rely on you. And of course, if you have any questions, you can always reach out to us.
You bet. So, hey, thanks everybody for logging in. This is a beginning, not an end. The 2 additional webinars are on the screen. You will be getting invites to both. Lisa, we're getting some great comments. Everyone's saying thank you for putting this together. Great job, everyone. And thank all of you who logged in. We'll see you soon. We got much work to do, but hey, let's approach this with energy and excitement, and let's go take our industry back, for the moment, virtually. Thanks for logging in, everybody. We will be back in touch soon. Have a great rest of your day.